Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast with Ron and Kristin, where leadership meets entertainment. This podcast features stories with names and certain aspects that have been changed to keep submissions private. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to a special episode of the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast. This is a bonus for you guys. So I'm Kristin. I'm joined by my oh-so-humble co-host, Ron Ward. Ron, I know you're excited about this episode because you're a bit of a history buff.
I sure am. And I watch YouTube more than anything. I look up history, politics, all these things. I'm probably a weirdo, but I love it.
It's not a bad thing to be into. So since this week is President Trump's inauguration, we thought it would be interesting to provide some background on some of the interesting facts about inaugurations. And I'll be honest, this is the first time that I've done any research into the subject.
Yeah, this is some very cool stuff. And this is a short episode, but we think you guys will enjoy it because we're always hearing these terms and we don't really know the history behind it. So brace yourself and let's get this going. So while many of us are familiar with the basics, there are some intriguing facts about inaugurations that might surprise you. So let's explore some of the lesser known facts that maybe you haven't heard of before.
Yeah, this one was definitely interesting to me that I was not aware of. So the first inauguration was not in Washington, D.C. So George Washington's first inauguration actually took place in New York City. And that was on April 30th, 1789. And Washington took the oath of office at Federal Hill. And that was marking the first time a president was inaugurated in the United States. Now, it wasn't until 1800 that the capital moved to Washington, D.C., and that's where all the later inaugurations have been held.
Yeah, probably out of all of us, I did know that Washington, D.C. was not established, that he took the oath in Federal Hall. But some of the other stuff I did not know ahead of time. So let's look at the longest and shortest inaugural addresses. The longest was delivered by William Henry Harrison in 1841, lasting nearly 2 hours. Unfortunately, Harrison would only serve 31 days in office before succumbing to pneumonia. On the other hand, the shortest address was given by Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1933, consisting of just 573 words.
How long did he serve for?
Yeah.
He did full term?
About 3 of them.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so the oath of office has definitely evolved. The oath of office that we recognize today has undergone some changes. So the original oath, as outlined in the Constitution, did not include the phrase, "So help me God." It was President Chester A. Arthur who is believed to have added this phrase in 1881. And since then, it's become a common tradition.
Wow. This one's particularly interesting. Let's look at inaugurations during times of crisis. Inaugurations have continued during turbulent times. For instance, Franklin D. Roosevelt that we talked about in 1933, that took place amidst the Great Depression. I mean, America was in chaos, and there was that immense national struggle. Unemployment rate was skyrocketing. In contrast, Ronald Reagan's second inauguration in 1985 was the coldest on record, and they moved inside the Capitol Rotunda the same way that the Trump administration has done.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So let's take a look at the role of music and performances. So music has always been a staple of inaugurations, but a lot of people don't know that the tradition of having a musical performance at the event dates all the way back to Thomas Jefferson's inauguration in 1801. And since then, we've seen everything from John Philip Sousa, marching bands, to Beyonce performing the national anthem. I know what Trump has Kid Rock and some country singers, Carrie Underwood. It's just going to be a whole potpourri of folks.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot more people are performing this time than they did the last time.
Yes,
so I found that to be interesting. Kristin, did you know that there were inaugural superstitions?
No. Makes sense, though. Everyone feels like back in the day, there was so many superstitions about everything.
Well, that's true. Some presidents have had their own superstitions. For example, Franklin Pierce refused to walk the Capitol steps on the day of his inauguration, believing it would bring bad luck. I don't know where he got that one, but
interesting.
Yeah.
I imagine the list goes on. So inaugurations are rich with history, tradition, unexpected twists. So the first ceremony in New York City to the evolving traditions we see today, these events are not just about the transfer of power. They're really a reflection on our nation's journey.
Yeah, they really are. Now, this is a question that I looked up. I was very interested in, Kristin. Have all U.S. presidents put their hand on the Bible? We always see that image of, the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court swearing in the new president, and they always have their hand on a Bible, or so we think. So not all U.S. presidents have placed their hand on the Bible during the swearing-in ceremony at their inauguration. While it's a common tradition for them to do so when taking the oath, it's not a requirement outlined in the Constitution. Some presidents have chosen to forego that. And for example, John Quincy Adams used a law book instead of the Bible during his inauguration in 1825. Additionally, some presidents, such as Franklin Pierce, opted not to use a Bible as part of the ceremony.
Interesting. John Quincy Adams only served one term. Same with his father. It's something to look into. It's interesting.
Kristin's learning stuff in homeschool, folks.
I know. The decision to use a Bible and the specific Bible used definitely can vary, and it reflects personal beliefs and traditions. And ultimately, the act of taking the oath is the legally binding aspect. And it's regardless of whether a Bible is involved or not. And, really, if we think about it, it's tradition. And that's what the first president of the United States, George Washington, did in 1789. This is according, you can go look this stuff up, according to the White House Historical Association. Organizers had forgotten to bring a Bible to the ceremony. So he borrowed one from a Masonic lodge. And other presidents that were sworn in with the Bible that Washington used include Jimmy Carter, Eisenhower, Harding, and George H.W. Bush. So that's interesting stuff there.
Yeah, and Kristin, there's a lot of conspiracies on that first borrowing a Bible from the Masons. There's conspiracies around that it was intentional, all these things. I think it's probably fun to be a conspiracy theorist, as long as they're not too far out there. Of course, a lot of them are proving to be true now.
I was just going to say, a lot of them have come true.
Yeah, no kidding. So President-elect Trump will have his hand on two Bibles during the swearing-in ceremony for the 60th presidential inauguration. One of the Bibles was used by during Abraham Lincoln's inauguration in 1861, and the other belonged to Trump's mother and was given to him
That's
as
really
a gift.
cool. That's really cool.
So that's very cool.
So when they say swear on a stack of Bibles, he'll literally have a stack there.
Yeah, and it does, for people especially, we know there's a strong Judeo-Christian foundation to this country. I mean, when the 13 colonies were there, almost every colony had statements of faith and had various leaders there was a real strong connection with the church. So when you put your hand on a Bible, it just supposedly adds to the validity of the oath that you're taking, you know. And we also have expressions. I was growing up, it'd always be you double dog swear or promise or pinky promise. We always add these things to our oath. So it is very symbolic.
Yeah.
But it does show the historical Judeo-Christian values that we espouse and we uphold. So I think it's really cool personally, of course. And Chris and I have been open that we're of the Christian faith. And it's pretty exciting. And guess what? If you win, you get the precedent to put your hand wherever you want, whether it's a law book or a Bible, and he won. So there you go.
Exactly. He gets to put his hand right where Abe Lincoln's once was, which is really cool too.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, we thank you all for tuning in to our bonus episode here, and we hope you enjoyed these interesting facts about presidential inaugurations. And please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join us next time for more captivating leadership-related content.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, be the leader you're meant to be.
We'll see you on Thursday.
The Dirty Side of Leadership podcast is brought to you by Forward Operations. If you'd like to book Ron or Kristin for speaking events, training, or executive coaching, visit forwardoperations.com. Be the leader you're meant to be.